Learning objectives are what are the different forms of carbon dioxide transported from tissues to lung, and what is the Haldane effect, what is the respiratory exchange ratio. In introduction, carbon dioxide is the end product of aerobic metabolism, produced almost entirely in the mitochondria, where the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is highest. Elimination of carbon dioxide, one of the major requirement of the body. So carbon dioxide, whatever amount is going to be produced in the body, it must be eliminated out. If it is going to be not eliminated out, it is very harmful to the body. Larger but highly variable amounts of carbon dioxide are being produced every day. Carbon dioxide, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the arterial blood. Now this pinkish or red side shows the arterial blood, this bluish is the venous blood. So in the circulation, in the arterial blood, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40 millimeter of the mercury. In the peripheral tissues, when peripheral tissues consumes the oxygen, they produce large quantity of the carbon dioxide. So if you see in the peripheral tissues, from peripheral tissues to the blood, there is the concentration gradient, there is the pressure gradient. In the tissue, the carbon dioxide is 46 millimeter of the mercury. So carbon dioxide easily diffused into the blood. So in the venous blood, the partial pressure is higher than the arterial. In the venous blood, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 46 millimeter or 45 millimeter of the mercury. When this blood reaches to the alveoli or into the lungs, in the alveolar air, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40 millimeter of mercury. So in the pulmonary capillaries, the pressure is high. So carbon dioxide diffuses out into the alveoli, from where the carbon dioxide is eliminated out into the atmosphere. As far as the quantity of the carbon dioxide is concerned, in the arterial blood, the quantity of the carbon dioxide is about 48 milliliter per 100 ml of the blood. So 48 ml of the blood, 48 ml of the carbon dioxide per deciliter of the blood in the arterial blood. When this blood circulated, goes into the venous blood, adding more carbon dioxide, the quantity of the carbon dioxide in venous blood, it is about 52 milliliter per 100 milliliter of the blood. So the difference is arterial to venous is only 4 milliliter. So for every 100 ml of the blood, 4 ml of the carbon dioxide is being transported from peripheral tissues to the lungs, from where the carbon dioxide is eliminated out from the body. So carbon dioxide is transported out into three forms. From peripheral tissues to the lungs, it is transported in a dissolved manner in the water of the blood, in the plasma. It is being transported as bicarbonate, and it is being transported binding with the hemoglobin in form of the carbamino hemoglobin. So 7% of the total is being transported in a dissolved manner, 70% is a bicarbonate, and 23% is carbamino hemoglobin. So carbon dioxide under normal resting condition average 4 ml of the carbon dioxide transported from tissues to the lung per 100 ml of the blood. Carbon dioxide diffuses out of the cells in a gaseous form, but does not leave the cell to any significant extent in form of the bicarbonate, since the cell membrane are almost impermeable for the bicarbonate. So cell membrane of every cell of the body, they are impermeable for the bicarbonate. So carbon dioxide is being transported or being diffused out or in from cell to the blood from blood to the alveoli, always in a gaseous form. So the first form of the carbon dioxide transported is the dissolved form, dissolved in the plasma, in the water of the blood. So carbon dioxide belongs to a group of the gases with moderate solubility. It is not easily soluble in the water. If you increase the body temperature, if you increase the temperature, less will be the carbon dioxide dissolved. Only 0.3 ml of the carbon dioxide is transported in 100 ml of the blood in a dissolved form, which is about 7% of the total carbon dioxide is transported. In arterial blood, at a pressure of 40 millimeter of the mercury, at a pressure of 40 millimeter of the mercury in arterial blood, the carbon dioxide dissolved, it is only 2.7 ml per 100 ml. In the venous blood, because pressure is higher than the arterial, here the pressure is 46 millimeter or 45 millimeter, so carbon dioxide is dissolved at 45 millimeter of the mercury, it is 2.7 ml per 100 ml of the blood. So the difference is only 0.3 ml. So only 0.3 ml is being transported as a dissolved carbon dioxide. The second form of the transport of the carbon dioxide is in form of the bicarbonates. Now when cells consume oxygen, they produce the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide diffuses because of the pressure gradient into the blood in the plasma. So from the blood it easily diffuses inside the RBC. When it enters into the RBC, it will react with the water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Now, because of the presence of carbonic anhydrase enzyme, this reaction is 5,000-fold increases. The question arises, why not carbon dioxide in the plasma reacts with the water? It does react with the water, but this is a very, very slow reaction. In the RBC, presence of the carbonic anhydrase enzyme, this reaction is being exaggerated to form the carbonic acid. So carbonic acid is an unstable compound. It easily dissociates into the bicarbonate and the hydrogen ions. This bicarbonate is going to be diffuses out from the RBCs into the plasma. In place of the bicarbonate, the chloride will enter into the cell, because bicarbonate is a negatively charged ion. So in place of the bicarbonate which diffuses out, a negative charge substance must enter into the cell in order to equalize the negative and positive charge ions. Because the cell membrane is not permeable for the positive charge ions, so no positive charge ions are going to be enter or leave the RBC. So in place of the bicarbonate, chloride ions will enter, and this exchange of the ions occurs through a specific protein channel which is called as the band 3 ionic exchange protein channels. Because membrane is not permeable for the bicarbonate, so bicarbonate is to be transported, diffuses out through an open protein channel. So there will be the counter transport. In place of the bicarbonate, chloride will enter. So this is called as the chloride shift. So 70% of the carbon dioxide is transported as a bicarbonate. The third form of the carbon dioxide, it is the carbaminohemoglobin. Carbon dioxide transported, binding with the hemoglobin, and that compound is formed, that is called as the carbaminohemoglobin. So 23% of the total carbon dioxide transported is the carbaminohemoglobin, and the quantity of the carbon dioxide, it is about 0.93 ml per 100 ml of the carbon dioxide transported is the carbamine. Now this is the reversible reaction. A very loose bond is being formed between the carbon dioxide and the hemoglobin. So carbon dioxide easily released in the alveoli, where in the alveoli the pressure is lower than the pulmonary capillary. So small quantity of the carbon dioxide also reacts with the plasma protein, because when carbon dioxide reacts with the hemoglobin, hemoglobin is a protein, so why not the carbon dioxide react with the proteins which are present in the plasma? So if you compare the quantity of the plasma protein with the hemoglobin, so in the hemoglobin is 4 times more than the plasma protein. So negligible amount of the carbon dioxide can react with the plasma protein and transport it, but mainly it is transported with binding with the hemoglobin, because the concentration of the hemoglobin is more than the concentration of plasma protein. So amount of the carbon dioxide bound as the carbamate to hemoglobin or plasma protein depends upon the oxygen saturation of the hemoglobin and the hydrogen ion concentration. So in this diagram, all 3 are summarized over here, 3 forms of the carbon dioxide. So here is the carbon dioxide in a dissolved form. A very little amount of the carbon dioxide can react with the water in the plasma of the blood, but major the 70% carbon dioxide reacts with the water in presence of the carbonic anhydrase enzyme to form the carbonic acid. They dissociate in the hydrogen ions and the bicarbonate. Bicarbonate leave the RBC, and chloride in place of the bicarbonate enter into the RBC. Now this hydrogen ion, which is dissociated by the carbonic acid, it will be bind with the hemoglobin in the tissues where hemoglobin releases the oxygen. So this hydrogen ion will bind with the hemoglobin. So the third form of the carbon dioxide reacts with the hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin, because carbon dioxide will attach with the amine radical of the hemoglobin to form the carbamino. So by the carbamino, 23% means 0.93 ml, 70%, and this is the 7% or 0.3 ml per 100 ml of the blood. When this blood reach to the lungs, all reactions are being reversed. The first, the dissolved carbon dioxide, because of the pressure gradient in the alveoli, the concentration of pressure is lower than the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the pulmonary capillary. So there will be the gradient. So carbon dioxide diffuses from the pulmonary capillary into the alveoli. So carbon dioxide dissolved in the plasma, it goes into the alveoli. This reaction is being reversed. Carbon dioxide goes into the alveoli. These all reactions in the RBCs are going to be reversed. Chloride leave and bicarbonate enter. It is titrated or reacted with the hydrogen ion to form the carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is going to be dissociated into the water and the carbon dioxide, and then the carbon dioxide enter into the blood. So when oxygen from the alveoli enter into the RBC, it will bind with the hemoglobin. So by the binding of the hemoglobin, it will releases the hydrogen ions. By the binding of the oxygen with the hemoglobin, it will releases the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide will enter into the alveoli. Now, when one molecule which goes back in the venous blood, when each molecule of carbon dioxide enter into the RBC, one molecule of either bicarbonate or chloride are going to be formed. So when one molecule of carbon dioxide enter, one molecule of bicarbonate or chlorides are added to the RBC. So these are the osmotically active agents, chloride as well as the bicarbonate. When they are a osmotically active agent, they causes the osmosis from the plasma into the RBC. So the thickness of the RBC or weight of the RBC is slightly going to be increases, and these RBCs are slightly heavier, thicker than the RBCs of arterial blood. If you do the hematocrit level of venous blood, so the hematocrit level of the venous blood is always 3% higher than the arterial blood. Remember, hematocrit level of the venous blood is always 3% higher than the arterial blood, just because of the presence of the bicarbonate or chloride. Both are osmotically active and they causes the osmosis. Then is the Haldane effect. Haldane effect is just binding of the oxygen with hemoglobin. When oxygen binds with hemoglobin, the carbon dioxide tends to displace from the hemoglobin. In the lungs, when hemoglobin is oxygenated, when blood reaches to the lungs, pulmonary capillaries, oxygen is going to be bind with the hemoglobin. When there is the oxygenation of the hemoglobin becomes acidic. When hemoglobin becomes acidic, there will be the decreased tendency of the hemoglobin to bind with the carbon dioxide. So, displacement of the carbon dioxide from the hemoglobin occurs, which is the Haldane effect. The number second way, when the hemoglobin becomes acidic, hydrogen ions are going to be released from the hemoglobin. So these hydrogen ions, they are react with the bicarbonate to form the carbonic acid. Carbonic acid releases the or dissociated into the water and the carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is going to be released from the blood into the lungs. But in the peripheral tissues, reduction of the hemoglobin means the oxygenation of the hemoglobin is going to be reduced, because hemoglobin releases the oxygen to the tissues. So the hemoglobin becomes more basic. When it becomes more basic, so there will be the more hydrogen ion bind with the hemoglobin. More will be the dissociation of the carbonic acid. More will be the carriage of the carbon dioxide as the bicarbonate. Now, carbon dioxide transport, it will change the blood pH. Normal blood pH is about 7.4. In every fluid of the body, in the extracellular fluid or in the blood, the pH is 7.4. When this blood acquires the carbon dioxide, passes through the tissue capillaries, pH of the blood is going to be fall down for about 0.04. So from 7.4 it becomes 7.36 or 7.37 because of the formation of the carbonic acid in the venous blood. So when this blood reach to the alveoli, reach to the lungs, there will be the reverse takes place and carbon dioxide release into the lung and returns the pH back to the 7.4. But if you compare the pH of the arterial blood with the venous blood has got slightly lesser pH than the arterial, just because of the adding of the carbonic acid in the venous blood. Then is the respiratory exchange ratio. Respiratory exchange ratio means it is the ratio of the carbon dioxide output to oxygen input. When blood is going to be reached to the alveoli, reached to the lung, there will be the output of the carbon dioxide and oxygen is being added to the blood. So in every 100 ml of the blood, 5 ml of the oxygen is being uptaken and 4 ml of the carbon dioxide is being eliminated out from the blood. So it is the ratio of carbon dioxide output divided by the oxygen uptake. So the 4 ml of the carbon dioxide is outputted in place of the uptake of the 5 ml of the oxygen. So respiratory exchange ratio R value is normally 0.8. Now this R value remains normal when person consumes the balanced diet, means a good amount of the carbohydrate, proteins and fat. If a person only consumes the carbohydrate, the respiratory exchange ratio is going to be increased, it becomes 1. Or when a person is on only fat or protein diet, the respiratory exchange ratio R value becomes lower than the normal, it becomes 0.7. Because when the oxygen metabolizes with the carbohydrate, so for each oxygen molecule which is being consumed, 1 molecule of the carbon dioxide is being produced. But in case of the fat or protein metabolism, when oxygen bind with the metabolize the fat and protein, in place of the carbon dioxide, hydrogen ions are more going to be formed, and these hydrogen ions are react with the water. So more quantity reacts with the oxygen and more quantity of the water is going to be produced as compared to the carbon dioxide. So the R value is going to be reduces if a person is on fat or protein. And I think that's all about